I'll never forget the look on Marcus's face when his entire scheme unraveled in front of everyone. His skin went pale, beads of sweat formed on his forehead, and for the first time in 18 months, my cousin had absolutely nothing to say. The same cousin who'd smiled at family dinners while destroying my career behind closed doors. The same person who'd convinced my own boss I was unstable, unreliable, and unfit for the promotion I'd worked 3 years to earn. But here's what Marcus didn't count on. He didn't expect the email. The one email he thought he'd deleted forever. The one that laid out his entire plan in excruciating detail. And he definitely didn't expect it to be projected on the conference room screen during the quarterly board meeting, with every executive in the company watching. Stay with me, because what happened that day wasn't just about exposing a liar. It was about watching someone who thought they were untouchable realize that karma doesn't forget. And sometimes it strikes with surgical precision exactly when you least expect it. This is the story of how family betrayal almost cost me everything, and how the universe delivered justice so perfectly I couldn't have scripted it better myself. My name's Jordan, I'm 31, and for 3 years I'd been the senior project manager at Thornfield Digital, a mid-sized marketing firm in Manchester. I wasn't brilliant or extraordinary. I was just consistent. I showed up early, stayed late, and genuinely cared about my team. My colleagues trusted me. My boss, Catherine, saw potential in me. And when the creative director position opened up, I thought maybe, just maybe, this was my shot. The promotion meant everything. Not just the salary bump, though that would have been life-changing. It was validation, proof that the kid who'd barely scraped through university, who'd been told she wasn't leadership material, had actually made something of herself. Then Marcus came back into my life. My cousin Marcus and I had never been close. He was my mom's sister's son, the golden child who'd always landed on his feet. Charming, confident, with that easy smile that made people want to trust him. When he called saying he'd moved to Manchester and needed career advice, I didn't think twice. Family helps family, right? I got him an interview at Thornfield. Entry-level position, nothing fancy. He seemed genuinely grateful, even bought me dinner to say thank you. You've always been the kind one in the family, Jordan, he'd said, raising his glass. I won't forget this. He got hired 2 weeks later. I remember being happy for him, relieved even. Marcus had bounced between jobs his whole adult life, and maybe this time he'd find his footing. I introduced him to the team, showed him the ropes, invited him to after-work drinks. I wanted him to succeed. What I didn't see was the way his eyes followed Catherine around the office, how he positioned himself in her sightline during meetings, how every conversation somehow became about his ideas, his insights, his potential. Marcus wasn't looking for a job, he was looking for an opportunity. And I'd handed him the perfect one. The first sign something was wrong came 3 months later. Catherine pulled me aside after a presentation I'd spent weeks preparing. Jordan, are you all right? You seem scattered lately. Scattered? I'd never been more focused in my life. But she'd heard things, she said, concerns about my reliability, my attention to detail. Nothing concrete, just whispers. And whispers, in an office environment, spread like wildfire. I should have known then, but I trusted him. I actually believed Marcus when he said he'd heard the rumors too, and was trying to figure out who was spreading them. Families gotta stick together, he'd said. That same easy smile on his face. I've got your back. He was the one holding the knife. The sabotage started small. Files I'd saved would mysteriously go missing from the shared drive. Emails I'd sent would never reach their destination or arrive with attachments corrupted. During team meetings, Marcus would bring up projects I'd supposedly mishandled, always framing it as concern. I just want to make sure Jordan's not taking on too much, he'd say, eyes wide with fake worry. She's been seeming overwhelmed. I wasn't overwhelmed. I was being systematically undermined. The promotion interviews were scheduled for April. I'd prepared for months, building a portfolio that showcased every successful campaign I'd led, every team I'd developed, every metric I'd improved. I felt ready, but 2 weeks before my interview, Marcus made his move. He went to Catherine with a story, told her he'd overheard me on the phone, crying to someone about how stressed I was, how I couldn't handle the pressure anymore. Said he was worried about my mental health, concerned I might be having a breakdown. He even suggested, so gently, so carefully, that maybe the creative director role would be too much for me right now. Catherine called me into her office the next day. The conversation was brutal. She wasn't accusing me of anything, she said, but she had to take employee well-being seriously. Maybe I should consider taking some time off. Maybe the promotion could wait until I was in a better place mentally. I sat there, completely blindsided, trying to explain that I was fine, that I didn't know what Marcus was talking about. But the more I protested, the more it sounded like denial, like someone who wasn't coping but couldn't admit it. "Take the weekend," Catherine said finally. "We'll talk Monday." I left her office shaking, not from stress or mental breakdown, but from pure rage. I knew it was Marcus. I knew it in my bones. But I had no proof, and family drama at work? That would only make me look worse. That weekend, I barely slept. I went through every interaction with Marcus, every casual conversation, every moment I thought we were building a genuine relationship, and I realized with horrible clarity that none of it had been real. He'd been playing a long game, positioning himself as the reliable one, while painting me as unstable. And it had worked. Monday morning, I found out they'd given my interview slot to Marcus. He didn't even have the decency to look sorry. Just that same smile, that same easy charm. No hard feelings, yeah? May the best candidate win. But his eyes told a different story. He'd already won, and he knew it. I went through the motions for the next few weeks, but something inside me had broken. Not my spirit exactly, but my faith in fairness, in hard work paying off, in people being fundamentally good. I started looking at other jobs, other companies, other cities even. Maybe it was time to start over somewhere Marcus's poison hadn't reached. Then, 3 days before the final decision was due to be announced, everything changed. It started with IT. Our company had recently upgraded its email security system, implementing new backup protocols and recovery features. The IT manager, David, was meticulous about the transition, ensuring nothing got lost in the migration. He spent weeks recovering archived emails, rebuilding corrupted files, making sure years of company communication were preserved. David and I had always gotten along. He'd helped me countless times with tech issues, and I'd always made sure to actually listen when he explained things instead of just waiting for him to fix it. So when he knocked on my cubicle Wednesday morning looking uncomfortable, I knew something was wrong. "Jordan, can we talk?" Privately, we went to the empty break room. David pulled out his tablet, hands shaking slightly. "I found something during the email recovery, something I think you need to see." What he showed me made my blood run cold. Emails from Marcus, dozens of them, sent to various people in the company over the past 6 months, to Catherine, to HR, to other managers. Each one carefully crafted to plant seeds of doubt about my competence, my stability, my reliability. He'd made fake email accounts to send himself complaints about me, then forwarded them to Catherine as concerns he'd received. He'd created an entire paper trail of fictional problems, building a narrative of someone spiraling out of control. But the worst one, the one that made my hands shake as I read it, that was the email that Catherine's boss, Roger, sent just 2 days ago. In it, Marcus laid out his entire strategy, how he'd handled the Jordan situation, how he positioned himself as the stable alternative, how he'd already started reaching out to my team members to ensure their loyalty transferred to him once he got the promotion. "I've neutralized the competition," he'd written. "The creative director position is mine. Jordan won't even see it coming." He'd been so confident, so certain he'd covered his tracks, that he'd actually documented his own betrayal. "I haven't shown this to anyone else yet," David said quietly, "but the quarterly board meeting is tomorrow. Roger will be there. Catherine will be there. If you want to do something about this, now's your chance." I spent that entire night awake, staring at my ceiling, wrestling with what to do. Part of me wanted to march straight to HR, to burn Marcus's career to the ground the way he'd tried to burn mine. But another part of me, the part that had been raised to keep family business private, that had been taught loyalty above all else, hesitated. Then I thought about the promotion, not just mine, but what it meant. Leadership positions are about trust, about integrity, about being someone your team can rely on. Marcus had none of those qualities. And if I stayed silent, if I let this slide because of some misguided sense of family obligation, what did that say about me? By morning, I'd made my decision. I forwarded everything to Roger with a simple subject line. Creative director position. Information you should see. No explanation, no emotion, just the evidence. Then I went to work, sat at my desk, and waited. The quarterly board meeting started at 2 p.m. I wasn't supposed to be there, but Roger had sent a message asking me to attend. When I walked into the conference room, Marcus was already seated, looking confident and relaxed. He barely glanced at me. Catherine was there, looking confused. The entire executive team sat around the table. Roger stood at the head, his laptop connected to the projector. Before we discuss Q2 targets, Roger said, his voice carefully neutral, there's a personnel matter we need to address. Marcus's expression didn't change. He still thought he was untouchable. Then Roger opened the first email, the one where Marcus described me as emotionally unstable and unsuitable for leadership. The room went silent. Catherine's face went white. Then the next email, and the next, each one more damning than the last. Marcus's confident posture slowly crumbled. His skin went pale. The sweat started. When Roger reached the final email, the one where Marcus explicitly outlined his scheme, you could have heard a pin drop. Marcus tried to speak, tried to explain, but Roger held up his hand. I've already spoken to HR and legal. You're being terminated immediately for gross misconduct, fraudulent representation, and workplace harassment. Security will escort you out. You have 30 minutes to collect your personal belongings. I watched Marcus leave, flanked by security guards, his entire world crashing down in the space of 20 minutes. And I didn't feel triumphant or vindicated. I just felt tired. Catherine apologized to me afterward, privately. She'd trusted the wrong person, she said. Let someone charm their way into her confidence while ignoring her gut instinct. The creative director position is yours, she told me, if you still want it. I took the weekend to think about it. Really think about it. And here's what I realized. Marcus hadn't just taught me about betrayal. He taught me about the difference between confidence and competence, between charm and character, between family you're born with and family you choose. I accepted the position, not because I'd won some battle against Marcus, but because I'd earned it. Because my team deserved a leader who'd actually fight for them. Because staying silent, backing down, letting people like Marcus win through manipulation and deceit, that wasn't protecting myself. That was becoming complicit in the corruption. Marcus never worked in marketing again. Word spread fast in our industry, and nobody wanted the liability. Last I heard, he moved back home, working for his dad's company. We don't speak. The family's divided about what happened, some thinking I should have handled it privately, others understanding why I didn't. But here's the thing about karma that people don't tell you. It's not magic, and it's not guaranteed. Sometimes bad people get away with terrible things. Sometimes hard work doesn't pay off. Sometimes the universe isn't fair. But truth? Truth has a way of surviving, of waiting patiently in archived emails and backup servers until the right moment. And the people who think they're clever enough to bury it, they're usually the ones who get buried instead. If someone's sabotaging you right now, document everything. Trust your instinct when something feels wrong. Don't confuse family loyalty with enabling bad behavior. And remember, the same confidence that makes someone a good manipulator eventually makes them sloppy. They get arrogant. They leave evidence. They underestimate the quiet ones who are paying attention. Marcus thought he was playing chess while I was playing checkers. Turns out, I wasn't playing at all. I was just doing my job, being decent, and waiting for the truth to do what truth always does eventually. It catches up.